Welcome to the Divorce Awakening podcast,
where you wake the fuck up after divorce.
and you realise that your best life ever is ahead of you.
I'm Delia Monk,
And I'm Sam Brindle.
and we're two happily divorced coaches here to show you that life doesn't end after divorce.
Mate, it's just getting started.
This is your chance to find out who you really are and build a life that you can't even imagine.
We'll be talking about purpose, career change, dating, spiritual shit, and falling in love with yourself.
Let's get into it.
Let's go!
Hi, and welcome back to the Divorce Awakening podcast. And today, if you're watching this on YouTube, Sam is looking very tanned, brown, and glowing because she's just got back from holiday with her 4 children and her ex-husband. 10 days holidaying with her ex-husband. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to be thinking, well, you're going to be part horrified and part in awe and amazed and inspired by this. So I'm going to put Sam in the hot seat today to find out what it's really like to go on holiday with your ex-husband and how the hell to do it if you want to. And we'll also be talking about if you don't want to, right? So if you're I just want to say from the heads up here, like if you're listening to this and you're like, this is so far removed from my reality, I'm not even going to listen to this episode, do keep listening, because at the end of this episode, we're going to be talking about, you know, being in more high conflict relationships with your exes and that side of things too. So let's get into it. Sam, tell us, how was your holiday with your ex-husband?
It was amazing. It was truly... I would even go as far to say it was one of the best holidays I've had.
Oh my God.
I mean, what? Yeah, I know. I feel like I've normalised it a little bit. And then when I tell other people, I really realise that it's really not that normal.
No, it's not that normal. It's not that normal.
And
So
also,
what did
if you'd asked me, you know, 2 years into our divorce, I would have laughed at the concept of going on holiday. This is something that's taken time to get to this point.
How long has it taken you to get to this point?
Well, it's been 5 years since we've been divorced. So yeah, I mean, it's taken time. But yeah, we're in such a good place now.
Okay, so let's go through it step by step, because perhaps if someone's listening to this and thinking that they would like to do it too, like how did they start? Like talk us through, like how did going on holiday together first even come up? And how did you initially feel about it? And did you do anything like preparation? So like leading up to the trip.
So it was his holiday idea. He really wanted to take the kids to Greece. He wanted to take the kids on a big holiday. We do have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And realistically, one person taking 4 kids on a busy holiday, because there were different moving parts. We went island hopped a little bit. We stayed in different places. Logistically, it sounds like a nightmare to go with one person. So he invited me to go.
Right.
He asked me if I wanted to join them. Like to think it wasn't so like as a nanny.
Yeah.
I pushed that thought aside. But we do get on really well. I mean, we've always got on, and what I think we have that is really important is that even though we had a tense couple of years after the divorce, we have always put our kids first. That has always been kind of the foundation. And when we were married, he's a really good dad, and we both always put the kids first. So we've managed to kind of transition our relationship to be one that is, you know, we're a very good parenting team. And so the idea wasn't crazy to me to go, because first of all, I knew that the kids would love it. You know, they see us a lot. They see us together a lot. It's not for them. It wasn't a weird thing. In fact, I didn't even, just thinking about it now, I didn't sort of say, is it strange that we're going on holiday together? It was just a very assumed thing that it was just very normal to do. So I suppose it was led with that concept that we were both there for the kids. Obviously, it's also there because it's a really amazing place to go. And we do get on really well. So we can take the best parts of each other.
Wow. That's an amazing attitude. Did you have any worries or hesitations before going? Or did it just feel like a easy one?
I did do preparation, mental preparation. If there were things that might pop up that would perhaps trigger me, or things that might irritate me or frustrate me, just literally going on past experiences. And so what I decided to do, because I didn't want to be frustrated on holiday. I didn't want to be faced with something that kind of triggered me or brought me back to previous bad situations with him. So I sort of thought through what are the things that could bug me.
Were you thinking about what had bugged you in the marriage and how those things might come out on the holiday?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So like forward thinking about those triggers.
Because it's so easy to be triggered. You know, when we were married for quite a long time, obviously were things that bugged me. Otherwise we probably wouldn't be divorced.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I don't think anyone listening to this podcast won't relate hardly to that.
But I didn't want them to be anything that got in my way of enjoying our time together.
Yeah.
And if things did come up, you know, when you can sort of feel that slight frustration, be like, yeah, take a deep breath. Is it really worth getting annoyed by this? And then I could kind of let it go.
Wow. What do you think married Sam would, or not married Sam, newly like separated, newly divorced Sam would say to that?
She'd be like, she wouldn't ever imagine it. Not in a million years.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? What a gift.
What a gift. And it also made me realize how much I've changed, not necessarily externally, but my mental strength, perhaps. But like how much I've changed in terms of how my mind works. And like even the fact that I did preparation before I went to look at what triggers would happen. Or like, you know, there would always be a worry that I'd done something wrong. Or those just didn't happen this time. So I could just focus 100% on having a good time.
That's amazing. Are there any like tips or advice other than doing, so we've got like doing preparation before you go, thinking what might trigger you, going in, and you've said as well, made a really good point about focusing on the kids, like coming back to the kids all the time, and not being about you and your ex, it being about a holiday for the kids. Is there anything else, any other advice you'd give to anyone who would like to do this one day?
Also put in, I suppose, a boundary of, like you said, like focusing the attention on the fact that it's a family holiday, we're there with the kids. And whilst we didn't actually have a conversation about it, it felt like a mutual understanding that we were almost in like a little holiday bubble and we were there to have a good time. And so we didn't, even on the one-to-one time that we had together, we didn't talk about anything particularly from our personal lives. We didn't bring in, external things that are happening.
Yeah, like didn't talk about dating, other partners.
No, even not really our jobs, people we were seeing. There was none of that. And it wasn't something that we didn't talk about it beforehand. It wasn't something that was planned. But it just felt right that this was just our little moment together as a family. And we didn't need any kind of external.
I love that, because I feel like that's such a great lesson in you get to design the type of relationship that you have with your ex moving forward, right? Like you're no longer husband and wife, you're moving forward as co-parents. You may not, if you're listening to this, you may not be able to see that person as a friend yet, but there is an opportunity to create that relationship with the intimacy and depth that you want.
Because sometimes you feel like it's all or nothing. You know, you need to, if you're going to be friends, you're going to be like the best of friends. But you don't need that. I have my friends that I can talk to. And it's like creating your own special, designing the relationship that you want to have with your
wow.
partner. Yeah.
That is so cool.
And it works both ways. And I don't know if he consciously has thought this through.
Should we bring him on the podcast? Put him on the hot seat. Can you imagine?
Oh, wow. Maybe. I'll see. But it makes sense. Because I've often said as well in general life, like you sometimes, especially when you're growing up, you have friends for certain areas of your life. Like not one person always has to fill every part of everything. And so, you know, he is a big part of my life, but he is this part. His family, his kids. We have this part of our world together.
Wow.
It doesn't need to include everything.
I love that so much. I feel like it's like such a creative new way of looking at it, that like that person gets to have a new specially defined role in your life, and you get to define what that looks like, how deep and intimate it goes or not. And there's no rules.
There's no rules. That was our catchphrase in Greece.
Was it?
Because you saw everyone going around with no helmets on the bikes. Organised chaos. But it's true, like, there are no rules. And I feel like sometimes we feel like we put our own rules, that we have to apply these made-up social constraints to the relationships we have, but it's kind of bullshit.
It's absolute bullshit.
Like, we decide, we choose how we want this next chapter to look like.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that it can be very hard to design that relationship when you're in a high conflict separation. You know, if you're dealing with someone who is incredibly difficult and challenging, and no matter how much you try to be rational and reasonable with them, they reply like a child, and it feels really hard to create that relationship. And so I feel like we should talk about that a bit as well, right?
Yeah,
because not everybody can go on holiday.
Yeah, and I am very conscious of that. I do feel lucky in a way that, you know, my ex is the type of person that I can do that thing. I can create that, like I just said, create that relationship. But I am very conscious that there are people who that's the relationship that I have is potentially not possible.
And I would say that when you're in a high conflict relationship, two things that can work really well. One is actually the same thing that you just said about focusing on the children. So it's really focusing on the children and what the children's needs are. And actually, I had quite a cool moment earlier this year where we'd been to our daughter's roller skating shows and gymnastic shows and those kind of things. And initially, very soon after the divorce, and things were very rural, my ex and I sat at opposite ends of like the audience. And then when there was a moment where all the kids could come and say hello to their parents, our daughter running, and then she saw that we were opposite ends and she didn't know where to run to. And she just stopped in the middle and looked like 180 each way at both of us and didn't know who to run to. And I have never felt so bad. Well, I probably have, but like it was a real, like, of the whole process, it was one of the hardest moments for me, and it really sticks in my mind. And after that, we both said, let's sit together. And we recently sat at a roller skating festival. Did I want to be sat next to him when I've got loads of other like really, really good friends around? Probably not. Did he really want to be sat next to me? Probably not. But we sat together for 3 hours. It was absolutely fine. And our daughter was so chuffed. She just kept coming over to see us when they got little breaks. And so I think, like, if you're listening to this and you're feeling like you're in a more high conflict relationship, holding on to that premise of like what's best for your kids and just always doing that and almost turning off your own emotions helps. And then the other thing, which I know can be helpful in a high conflict relationship, is, what's it called? Grey stoning. Is it grey stoning or grey rocking? Where basically when someone's just being very high conflict, you just treat them like they are a stone, a grey stone, a rock, and you don't take it. You don't let it infiltrate you. And you just, sorry, I'm getting confused. It's not that they're the rock. It's like you're a rock. So the stuff comes at you, you pretend you're a grey rock and it can't infiltrate you. You don't react to it. You don't respond to it. And just focusing on the kids. And you know what? If you can't ever go on holiday together, that's all right.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you probably have a shit holiday.
I mean, this has been an extra blessing that I never imagined happening. And that's okay. It's okay for it never to have happened. My life would be the same. This is like a cherry on the top. But it's interesting you say that, because I was thinking, I mean, my parents were divorced when I was 4 and they didn't speak to each other ever again. So the idea of my parents sitting together or being together in the same room, that just never happened. And I didn't think it happened. I thought that I remember growing up and just assuming that when you got divorced, your parents didn't see each other again. And then I went to university and started meeting people whose parents were divorced and like they did birthdays together. And I remember thinking, like, this is mad. And so even though, and I'm sure there's many other children of divorced parents who you think that you will never get divorced, which is kind of what I thought. When you do, like, I knew that if I got divorced, I would do it differently. Because I know how it feels to have it so separate. So the fact that I can give my kids this experience, like, warms my little Sam's heart.
Yeah, because you've broken the cycle, right?
Yeah.
You are doing it.
And we've done it in a way that feels very normal.
Yeah.
They will probably look at other divorced parents and be like, and find it strange that they do things separately.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful for the kids if we can do this. And I think if you can't go on holiday because that's a step too far, that's fine. You know, like you say, this is a blessing. This is a great thing that you can do. Not everyone can do that. But I think no matter what your relationship is with your ex, I feel like the big takeaway from this episode is like focusing on the kids and doing it for the kids and putting your feelings and your emotions at the door, knowing that you can pick them back up afterwards. You can deal with them afterwards. You've got your friends, you've got other people around to support you. But even in high conflict relationships, doing it for the kids and just...
Because if we're really honest, if you didn't have kids, you would never see that person again.
No.
Why would you? You wouldn't have to maintain a relationship, especially with a high conflict person.
No.
So the only reason you are still in contact is because you have kids.
For the kids.
So make it for them.
Make it for them.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like that's probably the perfect way to end it, right? Is there anything else you want to add? No.
That's it.
So do it for the kids. And feel free to drop us a message and share your frustrations and anger that might be going on while you're doing it for the kids. We're here for all of it. We're not saying it's easy, but thanks for listening.
See you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.